Someone screenshotted the chat logs before they were deleted. And what's inside them is the reason a federal judge just gave one of the biggest artists on earth 3 weeks to respond or lose everything. Stay with me, because this story has layers that nobody, and I mean nobody, is connecting yet. I want to start somewhere unusual, not with the lawsuit, not with the court filings. I want to start with a name that 99% of you have never heard. A man sitting 12,000 miles away in Australia, quietly operating in the digital shadows, while one of the most famous rappers alive funneled money to him through a system so cleverly disguised it was hiding in plain sight this entire time. His name is George Nguyen. And if the allegations in this federal complaint are even half accurate, he might be the single most important figure in the biggest music industry fraud ever documented. But we'll come back to him, because to understand what George Nguyen allegedly did, you first need to understand the machine that was built around him. And that machine, it starts with a bet, a very specific, very expensive bet. Now, before I lay this whole architecture out for you, and trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see the music industry completely differently, I need to establish something critical. This is not gossip. This is not somebody on Twitter speculating. What I'm about to walk you through is a federal civil Rico class action lawsuit filed in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia. The same legal framework, the exact same statute that the federal government used to dismantle the Gambino crime family. That's the legal weapon now aimed directly at Aubrey Drake Graham. And if you think I'm being dramatic, a Harvard Law School lecturer and former federal prosecutor literally published an analysis of this case, confirming its structural viability. We're not playing games here. So let's get into this, and I'm going to take you through this differently than anyone else has, because everyone is focused on the headlines. I want to show you the plumbing, the pipes, the wiring underneath the entire operation. Once you see how the money actually moved, everything you thought you knew about the last decade of streaming music collapses. The year is 2022. Drake signs a promotional partnership with Stake, a multi-billion-dollar online gambling platform founded in Australia in 2017 that exploded alongside the cryptocurrency boom. The deal? Reportedly $100 million per year. Let me frame that for you differently. Drake's highest-grossing tour reportedly generated around $250 million total. This Stake partnership was paying him the equivalent of nearly half a tour's revenue annually just to gamble on camera. That alone should have raised every red flag in the industry, but nobody asked questions because the money was flowing. And in this industry, when the money flows, the questions stop. Here's what Drake would do. He'd go live on Stake streams, millions watching. He'd place enormous bets, $500,000 on a single hand, $1 million on a spin. And when the numbers hit, his face would light up, pure euphoria. The chat would explode. Fans would feel the rush vicariously, and they'd think, if Drake is winning this kind of money, maybe this platform is where I need to be too. But here's the devastating detail the lawsuit exposed, and this is the first crack in the entire facade. Drake was never gambling with his own money, not a single real cent. According to the federal complaint, Stake provided him with secret house credits. Every jaw-dropping jackpot, every celebratory moment broadcast to millions of impressionable viewers, it was scripted, choreographed theater. He was performing the role of a fearless high roller, while the house bankrolled every single chip. The audience had absolutely no idea they were watching a commercial disguised as authentic entertainment. And that psychological manipulation, showing fans that their hero was getting rich on this platform, is the predatory trap the lawsuit alleges was deliberately constructed to extract real money from real people who couldn't afford to lose it. Now hold that thought, because we haven't even gotten to the streaming part yet. And the streaming part? That's where this transforms from a gambling scandal into something that rewrites the entire history of modern music. Let me introduce you to the mechanism, and this is the piece that makes Rico applicable, because it connects two seemingly separate schemes into one coordinated criminal enterprise.
Stake has a feature called the tipping function. On the surface, harmless. Users tip each other, like Twitch, like any live platform. But the lawsuit alleges this tipping function was secretly operating as an unregulated money transmitter, moving massive sums completely outside the oversight of any financial regulatory body. We're not talking about $5 tips between casual users. We're talking about documented transfers of $100,000 flowing between Drake and Adin Ross in 2023, and from there routed to George Nguyen in Australia. And here's a detail that made my entire body freeze when I first read it. Just days, literally days before this lawsuit was filed, Drake reportedly gave Adin Ross a $220,000 car as a gift. You want to call that a coincidence? The federal court will have its own opinion on the timing. But let's follow the money to where it actually landed, because George Nguyen, remember that name I started with, wasn't collecting these funds for fun. According to the lawsuit, Nguyen used the transferred money to hire specialized bot vendors, not amateurs clicking refresh in a basement. We're talking about industrial-scale streaming farms, sophisticated digital operations specifically engineered to manipulate the recommendation algorithms that power Spotify and every major streaming platform on Earth. And here's where I need you to really lock in, because the next part changes how you hear every song, how you trust every playlist, and how you evaluate every chart you've ever seen. These bot farms allegedly generated hundreds of millions, potentially billions of artificial streams across Drake's entire Spotify catalog. That artificial activity tricked Spotify's algorithm into treating Drake as the most in-demand artist on the planet. And once the algorithm believed that, it did the rest automatically. His songs got pushed into Discover Weekly playlists, into editorial recommendations, into algorithmic feeds where real human listeners would encounter them and naturally assume the popularity was legitimate. The cycle is almost elegant in its evil. Fake engagement manufactures perceived demand. Perceived demand triggers algorithmic amplification. Algorithmic amplification generates real organic streams, and those real streams create the illusion that the entire thing was authentic from the beginning. You'd never know where the real listeners ended and the bots began, because the system was designed so that you couldn't. But wait, because it gets significantly darker. The lawsuit doesn't just allege that bots were deployed to inflate Drake's numbers. It claims these same amplification networks were actively weaponized against his competition. We're talking about coordinated campaigns to suppress, disparage, and systematically downvote rival artists whenever they release new music. Build yourself up on one side, tear everyone else down on the other. The complaint specifically states that this manipulation suppressed authentic artists and narrowed consumers' access to legitimate content by undermining the integrity of curated experiences. Think about what that means. If you were an independent artist grinding your soul into every track, or even a major label artist dropping a project at the wrong time, there was allegedly an invisible digital army operating in the shadows, funded by illegal gambling money whose entire purpose was to make your streaming numbers look worse so that Drake's looked better by comparison. Your art didn't just compete against his art, it competed against machines specifically programmed to erase your visibility from the platforms where your career lived or died. Now I want you to sit with that, because every single time you opened Spotify and saw Drake occupying every other slot on a major playlist, every time the recommendation engine seemed almost obsessively fixated on pushing his catalog regardless of your listening preferences, every time he sat at number one while the actual cultural conversation in barbershops, in cars, on actual streets was telling a completely different story. If these allegations hold, none of that was real. It was purchased, manufactured, coded into existence by an army of automated accounts funded by gambling money laundered through cryptocurrency on a platform that marketed itself as a harmless social casino. And this brings us to the legal architecture that makes this case unlike anything the music industry has ever faced. Two Virginia residents, LaShawna Ridley and Tiffany Hines, filed this class action lawsuit on December 31st, 2025, seeking at least $5 million in compensatory and punitive damages, represented by Impressa Legal Group. The case names 4 defendants: Drake, Adin Ross, Stake through parent company Sweepstakes Limited, and George Nguyen.
But here's the legal weapon that should terrify everyone named in this complaint: civil RICO,
The Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act allows plaintiffs to argue that multiple illegal acts form a single coordinated criminal enterprise. And civil RICO carries treble damages, meaning if the plaintiffs win, every dollar in damages gets automatically tripled. Legal analysts have described this as potentially a 9-figure case. Harvard Law's Duncan Levin, a former federal prosecutor, stated on record that RICO lets plaintiffs tell a bigger story, arguing the whole system was designed to generate money illegally. That's not commentary from a blog. That's Harvard Law providing the analytical framework for what could become a landmark case. Now let me show you the legal loophole that sits underneath this entire operation, because this is the mechanism that makes the RICO charge structurally possible. Real money online gambling is illegal in most U.S. states, including Virginia. So stake uses virtual currency, tokens that technically aren't dollars, but these tokens convert to cryptocurrency, and that cryptocurrency converts instantly to real money. Duncan Levin explained that courts look past formal labels and examine economic reality. The questions are simple. Do users pay real money to participate? Do the tokens have real-world value? Does the platform simulate traditional gambling mechanics? If virtual currency functions as a proxy for cash, and the lawsuit argues it absolutely does, courts can treat the entire operation as illegal gambling, regardless of what state calls its tokens. California has already banned sweepstakes casinos outright. Arizona issued cease and desist orders. 17 states now restrict stakes operations, and promoting this platform across state lines through celebrity endorsements, that's what elevates everything to federal jurisdiction, which is precisely why RICO applies. Forbes reported that the illegal crypto casino market in the United States captured $38.7 billion in 2025, 74% of total U.S. crypto betting volume. That's the ocean Drake's $100 million deal was swimming in. But now I need to take you to the part of this story that transforms it from a legal battle into something almost cosmically ironic. And honestly, this might be the most devastating sequence of events in modern hip-hop history. Late 2024, Drake was so consumed by the cultural dominance of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us that he filed a legal petition against Universal Music Group and Spotify. His argument? Kendrick's streaming numbers were artificially inflated by bots. He literally pointed the finger at his rival and said, "Those streams are fake." October 2025, the petition was dismissed. A judge examined the claims and found them legally deficient. Drake filed an appeal that remains pending. But here's what Drake didn't realize. By dragging the concept of streaming fraud into federal court, he drew the map. He highlighted the crime. He taught the entire legal system exactly what bot manipulation looks like and why it matters. And then every single piece of evidence that emerged afterward pointed directly back at his own door. November 2025, a separate class action lawsuit was filed against Spotify by artist RBX and others, alleging the platform knowingly ignored billions of fraudulent streams, many specifically associated with Drake's catalog. The complaint stated, every month, under Spotify's watchful eye, billions of fraudulent streams are generated from fake, illegitimate, and/or illegal methods. Rolling Stone, The Fader, the LA Times, and Hollywood Reporter all covered the filing extensively. The argument was devastating. Spotify had minimal incentive to police fake streams because bot-generated plays still produced advertising revenue. The platform was allegedly financially motivated to look the other way. Then, December 31st, 2025, New Year's Eve, the Virginia RICO lawsuit dropped, and for the first time ever, streaming fraud allegations were tied directly to Drake through named co-conspirators, documented financial transactions, and chat logs allegedly showing direct coordination between his operation and bot farm broker George Nguyen. You see the timeline converging. Drake pointed the weapon at Kendrick. The weapon misfired, and now it's aimed squarely at him, loaded with evidence he practically helped the system identify. And while all of this is unfolding in federal court, while Drake sits in the crosshairs of a racketeering investigation, Kendrick Lamar walked into the 2026 iHeartRadio Music Awards and swept every single hip-hop category. Hip-Hop Song of the Year for Luther, Hip-Hop Artist of the Year,
Hip Hop Album of the Year for GNX. He did it at the Grammys too. No bots, no offshore gambling platform, no Australian broker, no secret crypto pipeline. He walked into those ceremonies and took everything because the music, just the music, was undeniable.
The contrast is so brutal it almost feels scripted by the universe itself. For years, Drake weaponized one thing against every critic, every rival, every person who questioned his artistic legitimacy: numbers, monthly listeners, chart records, first-week projections. Whenever Kendrick talked about lyricism and cultural impact, Drake pointed at the digital scoreboard and said, "Look at the numbers." That was supposed to end the conversation permanently. But what happens when the scoreboard itself becomes evidence in a federal racketeering case? When the numbers you weaponize to mock your rival are being scrutinized by federal judges who don't care about your Grammy shelf or your follower count? When the very metric you use to crown yourself king is reclassified as potential criminal proceeds? The March 24, 2026 court order gave Drake 21 days to file a formal response. The judge reviewed the entire complaint and determined it was sufficient to compel an answer. This is not something you can make disappear with an Instagram story. He must respond to specific allegations under federal civil procedure, and every word becomes permanent public record. If this case survives motions to dismiss, and legal experts suggest it has structural merit, discovery begins. That's the phase where Drake's legal team would be compelled to produce internal communications, financial records, detailed stake contracts, all documentation of payments to or through George Nguyen, and every shred of evidence related to the streaming amplification campaigns. If discovery opens, what's behind those doors could dwarf everything currently in the public complaint. And I need to point out something that almost nobody is connecting. In August 2025, Drake publicly clashed with Stake after reportedly having withdrawal attempts blocked. By October, he posted an Instagram video showing $1 million balance restored to his account. At the time, celebrity drama. Nobody thought twice. But now, in the context of this lawsuit, the entire public falling out looks different. Was it real? Was it manufactured to create distance before the legal filings arrived? Was Drake trying to establish plausible deniability, signaling that his Stake relationship was deteriorating right as the walls were closing in? Federal judges will want those answers, under oath. There's one more dimension I need to address, because it ties everything together with almost surgical precision. The November Spotify lawsuit identified billions of suspicious streams on Drake's catalog. The Rico case explains precisely how those streams were financed, manufactured, and deployed. Layer them together, and you have a complete operational blueprint, allegedly running for years beneath the surface of the entire industry. Every manipulated playlist, every fraudulent recommendation, every artificially maintained chart position. If proven, the competitive landscape of streaming music was systematically distorted by one operation's willingness to convert illegal gambling profits into digital deception at industrial scale. Drake's defenders correctly note this is civil, not criminal, and that lawsuits get filed constantly. Fair. Duncan Levin himself acknowledged that many civil RICO claims get dismissed at the pleading stage, but he also called this case a canary in the coal mine. It places these allegations into the public record for the first time, and if any merit exists, consequences extend far beyond this class action. He specifically mentions streaming platforms launching internal investigations and state and federal authorities taking direct interest. This civil lawsuit could become the catalyst for a full criminal investigation. The alleged existence of chat logs documenting coordination with bot vendors means there's a traceable evidentiary trail. And once that trail enters federal record, prosecutors can follow it like a roadmap. Harvard Law's published analysis opened with Drake's own lyric, started from the bottom, then added, but if here relates to the popularity of his music on streaming platforms, that location might now be in contention. That is Harvard Law School publicly questioning the legitimacy of his entire streaming career. Federal judges do not evaluate racketeering charges based on monthly listeners. Playlist placements carry zero weight when those positions were allegedly purchased with laundered gambling revenue. Instagram captions cannot serve as legal defense when chat logs documenting coordination with bot vendors sit in a federal court filing. The numbers defense is over. The Chart King narrative is under active federal investigation, and the man who tried to accuse Kendrick Lamar of using bots is now facing allegations that he orchestrated the most expansive artificial streaming operation in the history of recorded music, financed by a $100 million gambling partnership that was itself allegedly operating illegally across state lines. You cannot write irony this precise. A man pointed at his rival, screamed fake into a courtroom, and then watched the entire federal apparatus pivot and say, actually, let's look at yours. And you cannot outrun culture by hiding behind algorithms when that culture has already chosen its champion, someone who proves every single day that authentic bars, authentic impact, and authentic connection will always outlast anything you can buy with house money and offshore bots. This isn't just a lawsuit. This is the reckoning the industry has been avoiding for a decade. This is the moment streaming platforms must answer for the fraud they may have knowingly enabled. And this is the definitive proof of what Kendrick Lamar has been saying from the very beginning. The real ones never needed a machine to win. 21 days, the clock is still running, and when that response lands, or doesn't, the next chapter gets written in a federal courtroom where the only algorithm that matters is justice itself. If those chat logs contain even a fraction of what the complaint suggests, the story of the last decade of music may need to be rewritten entirely from the ground up. Drop your thoughts. Let me know if the numbers ever felt off to you. And if you're still here, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share this everywhere, because truth doesn't need an algorithm to find its audience. It never did. We're watching this deadline like hawks, and trust me, what comes next might be the biggest moment in music industry legal history. The receipts are filed, the court is waiting, and this time there is absolutely no code, no crypto, and no bot farm on earth that can make it go away.